everybody. Welcome to the Training, Learning, and Development community. Thanks for joining us today. Nice to see you. We have a bunch of people in already today. I always say this morning, but then I'm always like in the Pacific time zone. But welcome. Thanks for being a part of our morning. And let's see, who do we got in? We've got Susan and Trish. J-Rock is here. Joe Suarez, Jack Hutchinson's, Eric B. Gosh, so many people. Cara Spray, Josh, Mike. Great to see you this morning. I don't know how much of an introduction I actually have to make for Cara North, but I do want to say that when I was prepping for this, I decided to look to see like when was the first time Cara North like even sort of appeared in our lives, and it was back in April of 2017. I actually posted it on Instagram. I found the tweet where you said something like, I asked a couple of questions and nobody answered them, which I'm not surprised, and sort of like, am I doing the right thing? And then I think it was Brent actually pointed that the message out to me, and so I replied by email. And so I actually have that email thread from way back in
my
April.
gosh.
Yeah. And I can't believe April 2017. Has that really been more than 3 years?
It has been more than 3 years. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's nuts. It's crazy. So since then, we have done a whole bunch of stuff here at TLDC, and Cara has been a huge part of it, just as a producer and being such an incredible part of the community, as somebody who's just shown so much support for us. I can't thank you enough for it, Cara, and I'm so excited that you're doing this showcase, just because not that more people need to get to know you, but actually, yeah, people do need to get to know you. So this is great. I get to ask you a bunch of questions that aren't just typical like instructional design or learning experience design questions.
I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, we're not gonna do it. Anyway, I know, and it's early in the morning for me, so I'm gonna be a little I'm probably gonna be particularly punchy. So let's just get started, if that's okay with you guys.
Sure.
I'm kind of like peeking over a chat, and everyone's got stuff going on. Who is this new TLDC guest? Yeah, Joe. All right, so Cara, why don't you give us a quick little intro of where you are now, because I actually haven't heard much about the company that you're working at now and what you do for them. I know you did that the Confessions of an ID hiring manager recently, which, by the way, I get like people registering for that one to check it out like pretty much daily. But talk about that, where you are now.
Sure. So I can't say a whole lot because I do have a really wicked NDA, but I am a training operations manager for an organization that is in manufacturing. And just to kind of give you the story of the company, so it was a family-owned business in the middle of Ohio, was for several years. And then in the last 10 years, they actually got acquired by a company in Silicon Valley. And so with that acquisition, then now we work with that company directly. So we are a subsidiary of that organization. So that organization is Lam Research. And then the org that I work for is Silfax. So Lam Research is our parent company, and they are neighbors to Tesla in Fresno. So that's pretty cool. So I think after maybe everything calms down in the world, I would like to go out and visit corporate headquarters at some point. But, obviously right now travel is a no-go. But the reason I was brought into the organization is this org really cares a lot about its people. I know that's a lot of like lip service, but honestly, like it's true. So every quarter they do just a big survey just to get a pulse on the organization, how people are feeling. And one thing that they continue to score poorly on was training and communication. And so they made the decision at the beginning of this year that they were going to bring people in to run communications and bring people in to run training. So the communications person actually got hired about a month before me, and then I got hired to do the training part. So that's how I got brought over to the org, and then I left my position at the Ohio State University after 7 long years. So
wow. So Like, just speaking of that, how's that transition been for you? The difference between working at a higher ed institution versus jumping into the corporate world.
So I have to admit, I was a little bit rusty. So you have to remember, before I was at Ohio State, I was at Amazon before
Mhm.
that. So I remembered kind of the burning both ends of the candle when I was at Amazon, and I'm definitely doing that again currently in my new role. So after we get this big project off the ground that has taken all of my time, I'm going to really build out some, service level stuff and, more processes, because everything is just kind of fast and loose right now, and we're just trying to get as much done as possible. So the transition was pretty abrupt, but I think probably the hardest transition, Luis, was just starting a new job in the middle of this.
Mm.
Still, I have maybe only seen 15 to 20 of my coworkers at all. Most people, still don't know me in the
Mhm.
organization unless they've had a reason to contact me. It's really hard having a Teams conversation and I say something funny and then somebody's like, "Pardon me," and I was like, "Oh yeah, you don't know me. I'm sorry." So it's
Oops.
just like weird things like that that
Yeah.
have been kind of a struggle, but I know that there's a lot of people dealing with that right now.
Yeah, totally. Wow. Okay. Hey, just real quick, because I'm totally curious about this. And you're saying on the corporate side, burning the candle at both ends. How is that? Why you don't do that in higher ed at all?
No.
No.
No. So again, I know other people have maybe talked about the experience of higher ed, and I don't mean this to be disrespectful in any way, but I definitely felt like you were a service in higher ed, versus I feel like I have more autonomy and I'm part of the organization in a corporate role. So in higher
Mm,
ed, a big part of my time was, teaching faculty how to use Zoom, or making a video for a faculty member, or
mm,
fixing their grade book or something like that. I didn't really feel like a true instructional designer, really.
mm.
I felt like I was a fixer, or a short order cook at the Krusty Krab most days, right? So I was really excited to transition back into corporate, where I feel like I have autonomy and I'm able to kind of own the training and really dig in deep, do actual root cause analysis to figure out if training is actually the issue and can potentially solve the problem that we have, right? So I didn't really get to do that for a while, and I admit I was rusty, but I've got my sea legs back and I'm going at it. So
That's great. Harry is saying, Kara just described my life. Yeah, that's awesome. I've never heard that before, so I'm glad. Thank you for sharing that. So what's the favorite part of what you do as a learning
mm.
experience designer?
So right now, I think the favorite part of what I'm doing, and I had this conversation with Tim Slade, and if you follow Tim Slade, you know that one thing that he did before he went out on his own when he was at GoDaddy is he got to set kind of the standard of what training looks like. I get to do that currently, and that has
Mhm,
been a blast.
mhm,
I told a couple people, like, they haven't really told me no yet, because kind of the last pass of the training quality is me, and so that's been really exciting. So I've really started to up the ante, but I've also played the trumpet very quietly through the tulips right now, because
yeah,
you have to remember, like, this is all kind of brand new to our org. And
mhm.
I actually built the first e-learning for our organization last month, ever,
Wow. Wow.
ever. So, I mean, we are still very paper oriented. We're making that transition. And I know people are like, wow, it's 2020. Where have your organization done? But,
Mhm.
they honestly didn't know any better, and they honestly didn't have anybody to really make those decisions and try to do anything. So that's why they hired me.
That's cool. Um, is there anything that you wish you had known before, like when you had started out? Any kind of knowledge that you had prior to like going on this journey?
For this particular role,
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's see. Why don't we answer it both? Like for being an instructional designer and also this corporate job that you now have.
Okay. So I think the biggest one, and I think this is something that is really evident now, but I don't think was evident at the early time. At the beginning, like when I was an individual contributor, it was about me. Like I wanted to be bigger, faster, stronger, do more, do more, do more. But now that I am in leadership, like it's no longer about me, it's about my people. And it's about how I can develop them, how I can lift them up, how I can upskill them, support them. And I
Mhm.
think the best compliment that anybody in leadership can get is when their people leave and are promoted and go on to bigger and better things. So like the analogy of like the bird and, the little eggs hatching and that kind of thing, I mean that's kind of what it's like to be in leadership. So I think that that's a weird transition, especially when you've been an individual contributor for so many years, pivoting to that. But it's something that I really enjoy doing, and I'm really looking forward to again growing my team and going to the future. So
Nice. Okay, that's cool. I can see my screen is flickering a little bit
yeah,
here.
I see
Hopefully,
that too.
my cameras. I had some technical problems this morning. Um, all right. So let's talk about like sort of you were saying last month you built the first sort of I guess the first e-learning for the company. What did you use to build? What kind of tools?
Oh, good question. So they actually asked me what I wanted when I came in, and
Mhm.
I picked what I wanted. So I bought Articulate Storyline and I bought Camtasia, and it was great. And from going from somebody in a higher ed environment that I didn't really have a budget to I have a budget now, I have to say I like having a budget. It's nice. So
It makes a
we
difference.
had, yeah, we had e-learnings, but they were either off the shelf or it was something that the parent company had maybe purchased or created, but no one at my org had actually built any e-learning directly. So
Yeah. Any preference between the two?
as far as the tools,
Storyline, yeah, Storyline and Captivate.
oh, definitely Storyline.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
I,
Is
I,
that
I
what?
don't even pretend to like the other one. So yeah,
Yeah,
definitely Storyline.
yeah. Oh, that's okay. Good to know. What any other tools that you use? Just out of curiosity, I know that the stuff that I've seen you build. I'm like, wow, this is pretty amazing. So it seems like you might have some other proficiencies.
No, really, Camtasia and Storyline are kind of my two big weapons. Although now I've gotten deeper into project management, so there's a couple of tools that I use. So I'm old school Trello, but we do have Jira now that we also rolled out
Mhm.
for our org. But a cool one that I had never seen before that we use. At least in like our meetings is called Traction. It's the URL to that is traction.tools. And the thing I love about it is it's almost kind of like a if you watch ESPN like pardon the interruption, but it's got
Mhm.
like this sidebar around like the meeting and the whatever you're doing, and it counts down, and so you can see like a ticking count of like how long things are planned for in the agenda. And my org is really good about that. So if they see something going along, they're like, listen, we need to cut this short, take it offline. We have these other things that we need to cover. And then at the end of our meetings, we actually are asked to rate them. And depending on how we rate them, if they're of low value, then we get rid of them. They're like, oh, well,
Wow.
if this is low value, then we don't need to waste people's time. Let's figure out another way to disseminate this information. So
Oh, that's
I
cool.
really appreciate that. But with that being said, I still have a lot of meetings. So
Yeah, yeah. Wait, so it's specifically a meeting tool?
yeah, oh, Jack's on it. Jack's got it there. Traction.tools is what we use. I love it. It's really neat.
That's great. So I mean, Lamb Research, and I mean, being near, Tesla and all that. So it sounds like a very much a Silicon Valley type of organization. Are there any tools that you don't have that you kind of wish you did have right now?
People need
Yeah,
more people.
nice.
Oh,
Okay.
J Rock asked about our LMS. We use Cornerstone on demand.
Oh, good times.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So I'm going to take, let's see. Oh, wait. Here is a good question from Jonathan Hill. What could the corporate L&D world learn from the academic world and vice versa? Stepping back a little bit.
Okay. I think the corporate world could learn the care of just developing the curriculum, I think, from academics. So, for academic, a lot of times they want to know how are the learning outcomes being achieved through activities and assessments. I think sometimes that does get lost in the corporate world because things do move a little bit fast, right? But from the corporate world to the academic world, definitely evaluation. Oftentimes, if you're stuck in a bad online class, you're just stuck. And if that faculty member or whomever is leading it is not actively getting feedback, they're not going to change anything. And that student experience is ruined for 4 to 5 months versus if they would have asked and be able to pivot, then maybe it could have made the experience a little bit better.
Nice. Great one. Thanks for that question, Jonathan. That's a good one. Um, any particular project that you'd like to mention that you're especially proud of?
Hmm. Honestly, I mean, it's not really work related, but I have to say probably the coolest thing that I think I've done recently, and it's weird, it doesn't take a lot of my time, but it's to me is paid dividends, is just by posting instructional design jobs on LinkedIn every day. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't take a ton of my time. I usually will have my list curated a couple days before. I use a tool called Buffer to schedule my social media post. I'm not on not on there all the time. But actually, this morning I launched something to go along with it. So I launched a texting service that you can text me, and then you also get those via text message. So that way you're not digging through LinkedIn posts or trying to find it. So I launched
Mm-hmm.
that this morning.
Nice. Oh, I'm gonna have to check that out. How do I find that?
I put it on my Twitter bio, and then I also put it in my LinkedIn headline with my texting phone number.
Yeah, because I've been thinking a lot about that too. It just seems like in the Slack group, we regularly have like job postings, just people looking for help, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if I should dedicate more energy to that as well. So that's a good one. Great idea.
Well,
Um,
can I tell you where I got the idea from?
sure.
The Jonas Brothers. They do it, and I thought it was really neat. And they let you know when they have new merchandise and stuff. And so I was like, hey, that would be good for my job postings. If it's good enough for the Jonas Brothers, it's good enough for Cara North.
It's like, how'd you find that job? Oh, I use the tool like the Jonas Brothers. That's that's
No,
great.
they don't post jobs, Yosefe, silly. No, they post their merchandise and stuff. But yeah,
And you willingly accept those texts.
yes,
That's great.
absolutely. Yeah, I want to know what they got. Yeah.
So speaking of the Jonas Brothers, who or what keeps you inspired?
Besides them, no, I'm kidding. Actually, honestly, I think who inspires me the most right now is all the amazing people that are pivoting into instructional design. I
Yeah,
love being around emerging talent. I love it because
yeah.
it really challenges my perspectives. It challenges kind of why I do the things that I do and, how I approach things. And there's just so much talent that
Mm,
is popping over. So, Chris Syracuse, I think you're here. You're one of those people. But I'm just floored by just how creative people are and the fact that they are already thinking about how to pay it forward, work out loud, et cetera. And I actually, right before this, had a scheduled post on LinkedIn, which I think it may have posted. But today is a really special day because this day 4 years ago was my very first conference presentation. 4 years
mm,
ago today, my very first conference presentation, I did it at the Greater Cincinnati ATD chapter. It was about micro learning. I'm sure it was hot garbage looking back and thinking about it now, but I didn't do a presentation for 6 to 7 years of my career.
mm,
I never thought it was good enough. Why would
yeah,
somebody want to listen to me? What could I have add value in, right? So I don't want somebody to make that same mistake. So if you're new to this, you're listening, you have all these skills and experiences that you could help others see. You are good enough. And so put yourself out there. Don't make the mistake that I did.
yeah. Oh no, that's awesome. And having been in this industry for as long as I have, which it's kind of surprising to, even think that. But I do love seeing how people are really kind of changing things. All this new talent, people that are, and there are a lot of teachers just moving into instructional designers roles, and they're folks that are, tech savvy and just have their own idea of how they feel like they want to teach people, and it's really kind of, I hate to use that cliched word, but disrupting things, and I love it. It's fantastic. I totally agree with you. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, so how do you continue to keep getting better at what you do? What's like your kind of your professional development strategy for yourself? Is there one that you maintain?
Yes, I wish I would have grabbed it. I should have planned for this, but I actually have on my wall over here in my office, I have a goal board that guides me. And so
Mm,
I really like swing for the fences. I'm like, let's do this thing, let's do something big. And so some of the ones I have crossed out on here already are launch L&DTs, which that's been done.
mhm.
Um, help 30 people get a job in instructional design. That's been done, and I'm actually over 50 now for the year, which is awesome. And then manage the Emerging Professional Showcase, which was the Central Ohio ATD event last month. And so I set these goals for myself, and if I sounds weird, but if I see them, they're more attainable to me. So if I don't write it down and see it, it's kind of
Mhm.
out of sight, out of mind. But I find
Mhm.
writing it down, seeing it really does help guide me and give me kind of purpose for that. But as far as like, getting to be a better instructional designer, I think it's important to read. I think it's important to see what other people are posting, see what other people are doing, evaluate tools on my own to see if it's something that's viable. Mike Taylor, if you're not signed up for his newsletter, you need to do it. He's dropping all kinds of great tech in there often, and I just look at it like, hey, is this something I would use or want to use? So, my weekends are like my mad scientist experiment times to just do that, plus all the regular consulting stuff I have going on the side as well. So.
Yeah, no, that's great. I totally agree with that. I mean, I think it's one of the reasons why I used to have the big whiteboard behind me, but now it's just a chalkboard wall because the whiteboard was just a little bit too much, and now the chalkboard wall is a little bit too much. But I actually have a list of 5 tools that outside of the view of everybody that I want to get really, really proficient at. And that's important for me too. Let's see, where was it? I saw somebody wanted to know about more about the teas. Can you talk about that? Just what's the deal with that?
Sure. So Joe Suarez and I decided to launch L&D Teas, which I can put it here in the chat, or maybe somebody else can. But essentially, it is just learning development swag with attitude. Da da da. Yeah. So it may offend people. People may like it. They may not. But it's something that we wanted to do. And another thing I really want to call out is, the graphics on there were designed by us. So the unicorn and dragon one, I hand drew that, and then it was put into a program to be printed. Joe Suarez spent a ton of time making the Survivor one and the other graphics. So it really has been a labor of love, and it's just something we wanted to do and put out there. So.
That's awesome. Love the swag. Love the swag. Sort of like I used to do that with DevLearn and just build all those t-shirts out and that t-shirt contest. And it's just fun. It's fun to do that. We got the idea for that I ended up getting invited to a conference by Converse shoes, like way back in the
Cool.
day. And it was a really, really cool little event in San Francisco. And they had the coolest swag. And I brought a couple employees and we're like, let's do this. Let's start making like DevLearn t-shirts. And so that's how that whole swag shop ended up getting started, was we were basically trying to copy stuff that Converse was doing. So and it just kind of blew up after that. So if you weren't an L&D professional, what would you be?
I love to be a video game professional player, like, or a
Mm,
streamer. I love my video games. I think that would be a really cool job. I my current addiction's the Mario 35. That is kind of this online game where everyone is playing Super Mario Brothers, but then as you kill enemies, it sends enemies to other players, and it becomes crazy. So I was playing a game last night where I had, no joke, like 50 Lakitus on the screen all throwing spinies at me at once. And it was crazy, very hard to survive in it, but it's been really fun to play.
Wow, 50 Lakitus all throwing spinies at you at once. I don't think I've ever heard that in a sentence before. So that was actually going to be one of my questions that I don't have in the list, which was like, what is your favorite video game?
Oh, of all time? Oh, I would probably say Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic is probably
Mm,
my all-time favorite video game, and I played it on original Xbox. And the reason I love it so much is because one, the story was amazing. I'm so sad they didn't take that story and make it into a Star Wars movie because it was just incredible. Complete plot twist in it, and I won't spoil it if you don't know. But second, it's the first game that I played that really opened my mind to just character development as far as, you can pick if you want to go like dark side or like light side. And as you make these choices, it also impacts the people around you. And then you see these elements of things come up. And I was just so entranced by that. And it's a game that I usually go back and play at least a couple times a year because I just love it so much.
you still have the original Xbox sitting
Oh
around?
yeah, of course. Yeah. But it is backwards compatible, so we can play it on our Xbox One too. So,
Nice. That's awesome. Wow. Okay. Best compliment you've ever received?
hmm. I don't take compliments well. I should probably get better at that. But
Mm,
I think the best compliment that I ever received was, you know, you taking the time to talk to me has helped me get another job. And I think just the fact that just me giving somebody either just, a confidence boost or, just look over their resume and say, hey, you might want to fix this, or just talk through a couple potential job interview questions that
mm.
my 15 minutes of time could make such a big financial impact for somebody. That's pretty awesome. And I'm happy to do that anytime that I can. If that's going to help somebody, that's awesome.
Wow. So that's awesome. Yeah, that is great. That is great. So, what is one thing that people should know about you?
Well, let's see here. I don't know. That's a hard question. I think that, even if I come off a little kind of snarky, like I do have a big heart, even though I totally identify with like Darth Vader. Like I like to have this tough exterior, but then you open
Mhm.
me up and I look like Humpty Dumpty. I don't know. I don't like people to know that, but I do care a lot about people and seeing them succeed, and that's I think something that also makes me kind of deal with stress and things as well. So, case in point, I had just a horrible day on Monday at work. I mean, it was
Mhm.
just everything that could go wrong did go wrong,
Mhm.
and there was just this person on LinkedIn send me a message and was just like, "Hey, can you tell me about all this?" And I just sent like a little voice clip because it's easier than typing out everything. And then they ended up just saying, I didn't expect you would actually respond. Like, I really appreciate you doing this. And, that gave me enough kind of, I don't know, battling kind of the bad stuff to like get through the rest of my day. So just things like that. Like, if I'm having a bad day, like, I even want to do more to try to help somebody because I just want to try to counteract some of the stuff that I'm dealing with too.
Yeah, that kind of I totally agree. Like when you for me, a lot of times just doing like service can be really helpful for myself when I get too involved with what's going on in my head. Just helping others can really, it's kind of therapeutic. So, yeah, I feel the same way. Okay, so we've already gone past 30 minutes, so I'm just going to ask you a couple questions more to kind of wrap up things. Now, aside from your TLDC conference experiences, what have been some of your other favorite conference experiences?
Oh gosh. Definitely DevLearn last year because it was always a bucket list of mine to speak at DevLearn, and I did, and I actually got a standing ovation. And how I didn't break down crying, I have no idea how I got through that, but probably one of my favorite pictures that I'll probably ever have is, I had like Jack and Crook and a couple other people, John Hinchliff. So a couple other people that were there at the conference, like get a picture with me at the beginning, and it was really awesome. Yes, Joe Cook, TLDC UK. I know you said not TLDC, but that still counts. So going over to London in 2018 and hanging out with Joe Cook, Bethany Taylor, Marco Ficini, James McLucky. That's when I first met him face to face. So that was a really great experience as well. But honestly, some of the most value to me has just been local ATD conferences. So last
Mhm.
year we brought in Tim Slade. So and Jack came down and stayed with me. Kim Lindsay came down and stayed with me at my house, and then we went, and it was really like a family reunion. Joe Suarez was there. J Rock came down for it. So it was just, those were special to me because those were the people that support me and care about me as a person and a professional, and I get to spend time with them, and I get to learn, like, what's better than that.
Nice. So, Cara, what's ahead? What do you got? You got any plans for the future? Anything that you'd be willing to kind of share with everyone what you're looking at over the next year or three?
Sure. So first of all, I am working on a book, and I can't say a whole lot about it, but just know that I'm working on something kind of behind the scenes, hoping to publish in 2021 or 2022, depending. Another thing is I don't know, I'm not going to say the exact number, but I have decided at age 40 I'm going to retire. So I still got a little bit, but at age 40, I think I'm going to hang it up and then probably go on my own for the rest of the time. But that's those are my kind of two short-term goals.
Yeah. Maybe you could migrate over to just being a video game streamer. Just get that
Hey, that might
Twitch
be
account going.
yeah. I got the voice for it, but I definitely don't have the face. So I'd have to get some kind of cool filter or something to get subscribers.
Oh, wait, and J Rock's got this one here. Should people be sending you their resumes? I'm sure that's a great
No,
question. Yeah.
no. So, real quick, again, I'm happy to help anybody that I can, but I drew the line when I posted about having an open position and people were sending me their resumes to apply for the job. No,
Yeah.
apply for
Yeah.
the job. Like, I don't have time to deal with it. And then people would apply for the job, send me a message, well, when's my interview? I'm like, you don't get one. I just don't have time to deal with it. I'm sorry.
Oh, totally. Totally. That's hilarious. Thanks, J Rock. Thanks for that one. All right. Well, that's it. So thank you so much for doing this showcase. I'm hoping that folks in the audience and people listening to this recording understand Cara a little bit more. And I can just tell you, Cara's just presence in my life as an L&D pro has been absolutely, I mean, super impactful. Every time that we've thrown a live event, even just our online events, have just it's always a pleasure to see you and to talk to you. You've just been an amazing person to be around, Cara. So thank you so much for supporting TLDC as much as you have.
Thank you. You're going to make me cry, like
Oh no,
seriously, and I'm not going to cry.
but to cry. And yeah, one of these days when we go back to being able to have live events again, hopefully you'll be able to show up and speak, and maybe we'll even have to do a Cara North keynote. You never know.
We'll see.
See. All right, you guys. Thanks everybody for showing up. Tomorrow we got Mike Peacock. He's going to be talking about, what are we talking about? Digital file organization and stuff tomorrow, which I'm really looking forward to because I can always use that help. Hopefully you guys can too. So show up for that tomorrow, 8 a.m. Pacific time, 11 Eastern. And then Friday, the Natachu will be back with us talking about PowerPoint and green screening, which I had no idea that was even possible. So 2 more this week. Hope to see you there. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.